Have you ever stopped and wondered why sending money overseas feels like it's stuck in the dark ages? Seriously, in an era of instant everything, why is it so slow? Well, today, we're going to dive into something called Project mBridge. It's a massive global effort that might just be building the financial superhighway of the future. The real question is, are we about to see a complete revolution in how money moves around the world?
So let's just start with a question that I'm sure we've all asked at some point. With instant downloads, same-day delivery, why does sending money from one country to another feel like it's being delivered by horse and buggy? It's slow, it's way more expensive than it should be, and half the time you have no idea where your money actually is. So let's get into it.
To really get what mBridge is trying to fix, we first have to understand the problem. And the best way to think about it is as one giant global money traffic jam. And this right here is what that traffic jam looks like. Right now, when you send money from, say, Thailand to China, it doesn't just go straight there. No. It hops between a whole series of correspondent banks. Every single hop adds more time, another fee, and a whole lot more complexity. It's basically like booking a flight that has multiple, totally unpredictable layovers. And all those layovers, they create some serious headaches. First, the cost. Get this, a jaw-dropping $120 billion in fees in 2020 alone. Then there's the speed. We're talking several days, not seconds. This old system also tends to leave smaller countries out in the cold, and for you and me, it's a total black box. You hit send and you're just flying blind with no idea what the final fees will be or where your money is. So what's the dream? What's the perfect solution? Well, people in finance call it the Holy Grail. It's a system that's instant, super cheap, and works for everybody everywhere. And most importantly, it's settled in a way that's as secure as it gets. And that brings us to the whole idea behind this project. Instead of trying to navigate that messy traffic jam, what if you could just build a direct digital bridge right over the top of it? Well, that's exactly what Project mBridge is all about. Now, the building block for this bridge is something called a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Let's break that down. It's simply a digital version of a country's actual money, like a digital dollar or a digital yuan, that's issued and backed directly by that country's central bank. So this isn't some private cryptocurrency. This is official, government-backed digital cash. So what does this actually change? Well, take a look. On the left, you've got the old way, that tangled mess of banks we talked about. But on the right, that's the mBridge way. It's a direct, clean network that connects everyone on one single platform. It's really the difference between a long, winding country road and a brand new multi-lane superhighway. So how does this highway work? Well, you can think of mBridge as one big shared digital account book that different countries can all use at the same time with their own digital currencies. This means commercial banks can pay each other directly in real time, cutting out all those expensive middlemen. And this didn't just pop up overnight. It's been in the works for years. It actually started back in 2019 as a project between just Hong Kong and Thailand. Then, in 2021, China and the UAE jumped on board, and it became mBridge. And by 2022, it was time to put it to the test. Ideas are great, but the real question is always, does it actually work in the real world? So Project mBridge decided to find out, and they put their platform through a massive real-world stress test. Over just 6 weeks, this wasn't some simulation with play money. The pilot processed over $22 million in actual real value transactions. That proved the system could securely handle some serious cash. And it wasn't just a handful of simple transfers either. The platform handled the complexity of more than 160 different cross-border payments and currency exchange deals. So it showed it could manage a real flow of business. And this is so important. It wasn't just the central banks playing in a sandbox by themselves. This test involved 20 of the largest commercial banks from all 4 regions, proving this thing can work inside the financial system we already have. Yeah, and just look at who was involved. We're talking about the heavy hitters here. HSBC, Standard Chartered, Bank of China. This was not some small-time experiment. This was the test right at the very heart of the financial system in these huge economies. So for the test, they decided to focus on a massive, critical part of the global economy, settling payments for international trade. And this is an area where making things faster and cheaper can have a huge ripple effect. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, in 2021, trade between just these four economies was worth more than $500 billion. So making payments in that ecosystem even a little bit better could have an enormous impact. So, what was the final result? What's the bottom line? Well, this right here is probably the most shocking finding from the whole test. A payment that normally takes up to several days in the old system took just a few seconds on the mBridge platform. I'm going to say that again, from days to seconds. That's not just an improvement, that's a total game changer.
Okay, so the pilot proved the technology is for real. It works. But what does this all mean for the future of how we all move money around?
Well, the potential here is just massive. We're talking about payments that are faster, happening in real time, 24/7, and way, way cheaper. They're also safer because they use central bank money, which cuts down on risk. Plus, the whole platform is more accessible. It could open up global trade for smaller countries, and it also helps promote the use of local currencies, so the world doesn't have to rely on just one or two major ones for everything.
And really, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. If you make trade more efficient, a platform like mBridge can directly help economies grow. This isn't just about moving money around faster. It's about helping countries and businesses thrive.
Which leaves us with one last really big question. For decades, we've had the correspondent banking system. We've had SWIFT. Is what we're seeing with Project mBridge the very first glimpse of a brand new, truly digital financial network for the 21st century? The pilot suggests the technology is ready. The question now is the world?